Good morning, everyone. It is your secret co-founder coming in today with some insights, especially through the holidays, to move away from comparing yourself or letting people's success make you feel small. I think in my last decade working on myself and my last 8 years coaching women entrepreneurs, founders, creatives, I have seen times and times again how easy it is to get caught up and entangled with scrolling, comparing ourselves, or spiraling about almost how inadequate we are, how not there yet we are, how far behind we are. And if you're tuning in today, I'm sure you can relate to some of those feelings. Maybe you've had moments where you felt like you just couldn't get up to the level you see yourself in. It just was this huge, mountain to climb. Maybe there's been some moments where you felt as though you could never catch up on how fast things are evolving. The 1 minute you learn something and all of a sudden everything changes again. So many things have changed in the landscape of social media in the last years. I remember still the first week I did a reel years back. It was a new tool, and now reels are what people spend hours of their day on. So things are moving fast. Perhaps we perceive it this way. And as we're still working through things, it seems that some other people just have it so easy. You look at them and they just seem to be so successful, or they have all of a sudden this big house they bought, or they blew up their account in 2 weeks, and made $1 million overnight. When you look at things from where you stand, sometimes it can really seem as though people have this instant success. And then human nature is to compare ourselves, right? We want to belong. We want to be part of something. We want to feel like we have a place. And when we are on social media, we are receiving so much input, so much data, so much information. And the natural tendency is often to compare ourselves. We put that information against ourselves. And the reality is it's just a bad habit. It's just a bad habit, because comparison, as natural as it might feel, it is definitely something we can work through and outgrow and build a much healthier relationship to not only how we use social media, but how we give ourselves permission to go after our dreams and stop putting on those timelines, those "it's too late, I'm too old, I'm never going to catch up, I've missed the boat, my time has passed." You know what I mean? Those stories behind once and for all. And start building ourselves to be the person we know deep down we are meant to be. Because if you're listening to this, I know you're meant for more, right? You were most likely born feeling as though you were going to have a special life or do something extraordinary. I still remember having ambition. Maybe when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old, I still remember how ambitious I was, looking up at some people that I would see on the screen, or just seeing myself as someone that could become someone. That desire, that seed of potential we all carry, is so beautiful. And the way to honor it and nurture it is to learn how to tend to our own garden and move away from this cycle of comparison that keeps us trapped and stuck. So how do we break free? Well, this will be a multi-part series, most likely. As you'll know, listening to those episodes daily, you'll start noticing everything is connected, right? And there is not one way to do anything. Even the way that I approach business coaching my clients, every one of my clients is so unique, so different. They're at such different stages of their business growth, and there's not one template that fits everybody. Everyone is on their own unique journey, and when you're listening to those episodes, I do want you to see them as a space to expand from. So maybe it brings in reflection, idea, insight, but this is just the beginning of the exploration work, and your compass is your intuition. So I want you to trust what this brings up, but also find your way, because embodiment is just that. We receive information, we witness things, we have life experiences, and then through our own practice, we make it our own. And when we make it our own, it becomes ours. We feel it, we've felt it, we've lived it. It's a lived experience. We've alchemized it in our own way. We've made it our own recipe. And that's when embodiment really shines through. Okay, so today what I'm giving you is the beginning journey to remove comparison from your life, alchemize it, but then I encourage you highly to Find your way to make it your own, because that's when things truly become so much easier. We're walking our own path, we're living our own life, and we're finding our own voice. So where do we begin with comparison? So the first thing is changing the field, changing the feed, changing what we see. We don't realize how much everything we consume, everything we see exists within a bubble. It's an ecosystem we accidentally or actively created. And the best first space is to start changing what we see. And that begins by really rewiring our algorithm on all spaces so that what we consume is actually aligned with what we believe in, what we value, what we want to see more of. When I look at my Instagram today, every time I open the For You page, I see like my future dream home, the sea, women being in nature, hugging a tree, beautiful quotes about creativity and art, color palette that makes me feel so happy, so at home. And it's so curated to what I love to see more of, right? But I do remember if I've fallen back into my old habits or old patterns, I grew up reading gossip magazines and celebrity news. And it's like my shadow. Like if I get in flows of past patterns and habits, like my whole page could be filled with gossips, filled with the news, filled with celebrity gossip, what's happening, what's current, what's new. When my feed looks this way, it does not feel good. And it hasn't happened in a long time now because I've been really actively curating my space and my digital space for a very long time now to be elevating me and aligning with who I'm becoming, who I am, who I know I'm meant to be, who I like to surround myself with, what I like to surround myself with. But there's a shadow we all have, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Like I still enjoy the occasional, celebrity cooking something on Vogue or something as an intentional video if I want to watch it. But being mindful of what we see, what we consume is the first step, because comparison sometimes is habitual, and taking control over what we want to see and making sure that it creates desire instead of envy. It's a fine line. But there is a version of your feed that's creating desire instead of envy. So the first step is rewiring your algorithm. And I'm probably going to make an entire video on this because I have a whole process to clearing the field and clearing the feed, but being very mindful of what we see, not engaging, not giving attention to things that don't create good feeling, right? That's the first step of self-awareness. And then the second thing to do is starting to be aware of what the line is between desire and envy that could be destructive. And so the first rewiring to this is, when I look at someone winning, can I see abundance instead of scarcity? Because I think the story of comparison is this sense of, if they have it, I can't have it. They've taken it away from me, right? And that's based upon scarcity thinking. There's a limited space, limited resources, limited homes, limited everything. And when we fall into those traps, there's limited money. If somebody has more money, it means that there is less for me. That is not true. Money doesn't work this way. Someone having doesn't mean you can't have. Someone experiencing doesn't mean you can't experience. And that's really recognizing, wow, this is scarcity beliefs. And when I'm moving into abundance thinking, I know that if they win, I too can. And their winning doesn't take away from me. And that is the discomfort, actually. That's the comparison feeling. That's the sense of inadequacy that kicks in. When we feel as though we can't, or we won't, or it's not possible because somebody else has, we think that way. It's the same as market. I hear it so often when I work with clients. I really want to be this persona online, let's say graphic designer. I really want to be this like soulful graphic designer having those beautiful earthy coded design with like elegant font. Oh, but there's so many of them already. You've thought this, most likely. This is an illusion of scarcity. The reality is there is enough beauty, enough magic, enough possibilities for everyone to win and find their path and find their way. And if you move into abundance, the rewiring, the first one is, I can recognize someone's success as something that I desire. And desire is good. It can uplift me. It can align me. It can remind me of what is true to me. It can remind me of my vision board, my dream. And if I alchemize it as desire instead of envy and frustration and comparison, I'm already moving towards my dream, because I'm saying, I love to see this. for them. I love to see this beauty. I love to see this home. Oh my God, this is so close to what I want to create. I'm so grateful that I'm exposed to it, that I get to see it. And I'm adding it to my vision board. And that's where the embodiment as well comes in, and the taking it and making it your own is when we start looking at people winning as a possibility, as something we can consider, add to our list, add to our ways to approach things. All of a sudden we give ourselves permission to take action, to actually move towards, to actually be proactively walking towards our dream instead of sitting here as though we've been left behind, right? And so the first nudge as well here is when you see things you love, be okay not having it yet, and be grateful for the new desire, the new spark. If I think about my life now, there's a cat that just jumped on the balcony. This cat decided he was our cat. He's just one day showed up on the balcony, and he's been there every morning, every evening for months now. He just decided he lives here. So when I moved, I'm from French Canada, and when I moved to Germany and I finished my studies, fell in love, now I live on a Greek island, this whole beautiful plot of my life wouldn't have happened had I not put myself in context where I could see possibilities for myself. The spark that I had over 10 years ago, almost 12 years now, at a yoga festival was to realize for the first time, wait, like I grew up in a small town and people might have, very, let's say, normal, cozy dreams for their lives, just following the path. But I've always wanted more, and I never saw what I could look like. And that yoga festival, I saw so many people that were just doing their thing. Like there was this woman, she was hiking for 6 months alone, passing through villages. This other woman said she was meditating all day, which made no sense to me at the time. I was like, what do you mean? I saw this woman doing hula hoop and just being so in her power, these people doing music and just everyone doing their own thing. And for the first time, I had this moment of, wait a minute, like there are incredible people out there doing incredible things. And if I want to be a person that has stories to tell, I need to get out there. That, in a way, was the same in real life scale that happens on social media. We see people that might spark something in us. Maybe you want to try roller skating, watercolor painting. Maybe you want to be on stage in front of a bigger audience as a musician. Maybe you want to also have a course that sells out because there's thousands of people watching you every day. Whatever that is, let that be joy. Let that be, oh my God, let that be, wait, I should maybe, bring that energy in of excitement and possibility. And yeah, I think I'll leave it at this for now today, because these are already 2 big steps that really changed the game for me and allowed me to today really feel not triggered by people's success and feel just so happy when I see people win, and so excited when I discover more of my desires and what I am aligning with and what's possible. And just noticing how that shift from comparison to desire is already such a big game changer. And then also creating what you see to be feeling good in your body, to be aligning with the version of you you're becoming. So let's slowly move away from comparison for good, and let's remember that we get to carve our own path, walk our own way, the beauty way, and just embrace what it means to be a creative that shapes their own path. Yeah, okay. Enjoy your day. I'll talk to you very soon. Bye.